You.
Okay, so how many of you in here can drive? And how many will you admit that you do use your cell phone while you're driving?
The pain. No.
Well, this is what happened to Ashley Johnson. She was 16 years old, and she was texting, and she just looked down for a second, like I'm sure any of you think that you just looked down for a second, but she crossed center lane traffic and crashed into a pickup truck, and she lost her life. So, statistics about texting and driving. All of these happen while you're driving. I'm sure most of you have done all of them at some point. But texting requires visual, manual, and cognitive attention from the driver. So it's by far the most alarming to any of these because they don't require all three of these things. These are just some things about texting and driving, and one of the big ones is they spend 10% of their time outside the lane while they're driving, like outside the driving lane that you're supposed to be inside of, and you can travel the length of about a football field, and this is what would have happened to that person. And clearly they only can see the back of their car, so they crossed center lane traffic and had head on to a semi-truck. About 6,000 deaths and 500,000 injuries are caused by distractions each year, and these are by people just simply looking down for a second and they are going to get injured. And most people don't think it's a big deal. Like this girl in this picture is looking down for a second to look at a text message she received, and you can see the lady in the back that is panicked because she doesn't know what to do because she didn't realize that she was going to run it. And the girl that's texting might have not lost her life, but the girl that is in the car accident might have lost her life, like I'm sure that person did, because there's a tree in the background. And if you don't believe these, the first one where it says, "Where are you at?" There was a young girl one day was one day away from graduation. She was going to be graduating the next day, walking the stage and getting her diploma, moving on with her life. And she was going to a baseball game to go with her friends, like there's a big baseball game that day. And she just looked down to ask her friend where to park at or where her friend was at, and she crossed traffic and lost her life that day, one day before graduating. The next one that just says LOL. This guy was with his girlfriend, and they were just driving along, and he simply looked down to type LOL, and he ran right into a bicyclist that was crossing the road that shouldn't have the right of way, and the bicyclist lost his life right then and there. There was no question about it. And the next one that says yeah. She was texting her sister, and her sister must have asked her a question, and she responded with yeah, and now her sister has to live with the fact that her sister died when she was texting her back, and that's all she can get in her mind, even though everyone says it wasn't her fault, and she can what in her back of her mind. That's what happened, and all it took was one simple text message to change someone's life. And this is the story.
Heather had her life in front of her. Until that moment, she decided to text and drive.
I woke Dan up and I said, "Something's wrong, we gotta go find Heather." And we got in the car and we found the accident. They said she was killed instantly.
Stupid communication, nothing serious. Nothing serious enough that you took my life of my daughter.
I want to hold a big sign, saying, "Do not text and drive. My daughter lost her life."
Heather she was just a young girl, young people in high school. She was very responsible. She never did anything wrong in school. She never got in trouble or anything, but she just looked down for a second and was texting and lost her life. Most people can say that you can pretty much do anything while you can look up for a second and you'll be alright, but it only takes a second for you to cross traffic and hit someone else or run off the road and roll your car. So, text and drive.
Short, sweet, to the point.